Well, as I mentioned earlier, my special guest live in the studio is a good friend, Dave Sawler. Dave, welcome to It's Your Call.
Well, it's great to be here tonight with you, Rob.
Dave and I were actually on staff at a church, I guess, goodness gracious, it's going back 5-6 years ago.
Yes, it was.
Together, and we spent some time getting to know each other, and I want you folks to know that Dave is the real deal. And what you're going to hear from Dave, I believe tonight, is going to challenge you, but also minister to you, because Dave felt compelled of God to write a book, Goodbye Generation. And as I mentioned earlier, Dave, it's all about conversations of this generation from individuals who were regular attendees in church, but for whatever reasons, they left the church. You gathered all that information, you put it into a book form, and really it's to stir up the heart of our generation to say, you know what, we're losing people. Why are we losing people, and what can we do? So again, just for those of you watching, I want you to jump right into the conversation. Our new toll-free number is 1-855-588-CALL, C-A-L-L. Lines are open. Now, Dave, before we actually dig right into the book, tell me, just from your heart, what you feel about the Church of Jesus Christ.
Well, actually, I love the church. And this topic, a lot of people might think, well, I must be bitter at the church. But I'm not. And I actually love being part of a community of people, you know, that we're dedicated to each other and dedicated to serving God together. And there's something incredibly beautiful about that you actually have a relationship with people that we are actually praying for each other, watching out for each other, encouraging one another. You know, that we get together and we together thinking about what can we do for our communities? What can we do for God where we live? And there's something incredibly beautiful about that. And you know what? It's Christianity that's enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, it's just who I am, and I get to live it out in a community and blessing a community.
Yeah.
And that's what's beautiful about the church.
Well, you know, Dave, just let our viewers know, because right now you've started a church plant.
Yes.
Tell us where that church plant is.
Well, I live in Glace Bay.
Okay.
In Cape Breton. It's pretty much as far east as you can go in Canada without going to Newfoundland. No offense to all the Newfoundlanders, but I basically live right
on the edge.
Right on the edge, and it's a great community. I love Cape Breton, and if you're from Cape Breton, we don't even say we're from Nova Scotia. We think we're our own province, but really we are part of Nova Scotia.
Okay.
And such a great place to be, and it's a place that it's funny, when I started this journey with Goodbye Generation, it's not where I was living. And God has put us in a place where we've had a lot of churches closed down, declining church population. Yeah. And that's where we're planning today. But you know what? People are so open to the gospel. Yeah. And what an incredible place to live. Incredibly friendly and just great people.
Well, we're going to jump right in the book. And here's what I'd like to do. Dave's got 11 chapters in the book, and each of them is very specific and speaks directly to an issue. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mention the chapter title, and then Dave's going to give us a commentary as to his heart regarding the subject matter here, and dealing with the conversations of the people of this generation that spoke to David about it. So again, I want you just to jump right into our conversation. Our telephone lines are open. It's a brand new number. 1-855-588-CALL. So the lines are open, and we'll take your calls as soon as you call us. Now, Dave, let's begin with chapter 1. And the title of the chapter is this: Something is Broken. What does that mean?
I think this just began when I remember the first time I actually went to an event, and maybe for some people this is going to be the first time they hear this. And we had a gentleman sharing with us. And at the time I was a youth pastor and dealing with, 40, 50 kids. And he basically began to tell us just the numbers and stats that groups have been put out there about where these young people that I was dealing with now, where were they going to be 10 years from now? And just they had statistics from mostly North America, some Canadian, some American, just saying that really a majority, not a few, but the majority of the youth that we were ministering to now weren't going to remain in the church. A lot of them would leave their faith. A lot of them just maybe their churches, but a lot of the faith. And then just kept hearing some more stats about adults too. We thought it was maybe just a youth issue, and just realized there's a lot of people who have walked in our buildings or have even grown up in the church. That's been part of their lives, but
Right.
have come to a point where they no longer want to be part of that. And that, when you're part of it, you wonder, well, you don't really maybe understand why people
Right.
would leave. But it's just the beginning of an understanding that there are people who have tried this
Yeah.
and have said, no thanks.
Yeah.
And so this whole thing began just listening to people's stories about really what is your story, and
Right.
I thought maybe everyone's mad, bitter, all these types of things, but it's really quite a plethora of
Yeah.
thoughts.
Because that's important, Dave, because when you say why I left church, part of the first response is, well, somebody's angry, mad, bitter. That's the kind of little
Yes.
camp that we involve ourselves in. But you saw it much more than that.
Yeah, that was actually only a pretty small percentage. And I think what was hard for me, and especially because I was working in a church, to realize that a lot of people who have left have no intentions of coming back, and a lot of people have run away from the church. Some people have just walked away. It's been a slow fade, basically.
Right.
But there is that group who, they're mad and they don't want to come back. But it was hard for me to understand. I had to come to grips with the fact that a huge majority of the people who left have no intention or desire to return.
Yeah. Okay.